Video game franchises are usually self-contained, but once in a while, developers and publishers sneak in hidden clues suggesting that some games actually coexist in a shared universe. Sometimes the connections make sense, other times, not so much. Here's a look at some games you didn't know take place in the same universe. Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire. Rockstar Games' Western action-adventure Red Dead Redemption takes place in 1911. Their neo-noir action-adventure LA Noire takes place 36 years later, and you can bet your 10-gallon hat they share a universe. While playing LA Noire, not only can you uncover the iconic hat worn by Red Dead Redemption protagonist John Marston, you can also catch glimpses of his face on toast. Just chalk it up to a breakfast miracle. Gone Home and BioShock. While discussing shared universes on his podcast, the Fulbright Company co-founder Steve Gaynor explained how Gone Home and BioShock actually take place in the same universe. In BioShock 2's DLC, Minerva's Den, you can find and play a fictional, vector graphics asteroids-esque title called Spitfire. Some 50 years later in Gone Home, you can uncover various faux Super Nintendo cartridges in Sam's room, including one for Super Spitfire. Close inspection reveals the game within a game was actually published by none other than Minerva's Den protagonist Charles Milton Porter. Gaynor also mentioned some other connections. The airline that Katie takes to go to Europe, we never named the airline, but their logo is an 80s brand update to the airline that Jack's plane crashes into Rapture. Wolfenstein, Commander Keen, and Doom. The Blazkowicz family has a fairly storied history of violence, and it all canonically starts with the Nazi massacring protagonist William J. Blazkowicz in 1992's Wolfenstein 3D, which occurs during World War II. After the family's surname is changed to Blaze, his grandson and namesake stars in 1990's sci-fi-themed Commander Keen series under the name Billy Blaze. And then there's the Harbinger of Doom, a big baddie who gets his left arm and right leg maimed by BJ in Wolfenstein RPG. He vows to torment the Blazkowicz family for all eternity, and apparently does just that, appearing centuries later in multiple Doom games as the formidable Cyber Demon, hobbling on one robotic leg and swinging one robotic arm. So it's safe to assume that the heroic Doom guy is actually himself a Blazkowicz, thus tying together all three of id Software's famous franchises. Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X-2. On the surface, Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy X-2 couldn't appear more different. The world of Final Fantasy VII is largely dominated by the Shinra Electric Power Company, which uses the planet's own life force to create an energy source. The world of Final Fantasy X-2 isn't. But that's because it's apparently a prequel. Yep, at the end of Final Fantasy X-2, players can activate a cutscene by talking to someone who claims to be researching the planet's life force, which he hopes to someday harness and fuel cities with. And guess what the boy's name is? That's right, Shinra. Sure, Final Fantasy games have a habit of reusing character names, but this seems too plot-specific to be just a coincidence.
Sweet!
Donkey Kong, Banjo-Kazooie, and Conker. Though we rarely see them together, the characters from Rare's Donkey Kong Country, Banjo-Kazooie, and Conker franchises all inhabit the same universe. Besides multiple Easter eggs hinting at the connection, the link between these three games is made explicit in Diddy Kong Racing, in which the titular character recruits the help of both Banjo the Bear and Conker the Squirrel to defeat an evil intergalactic wizard pig, appropriately named Whiz-Pig.
You can't beat me!
Unlike the Super Smash Bros. Series, which features Nintendo's superstar lineup of characters duking it out as toys, Diddy Kong Racing explicitly implies that Conker, Banjo, and the Kongs not only share the same universe, but actually might be neighbors. Hardcore, Uprising, and Contra. First released on Xbox Live Arcade in February 2011, Hardcore Uprising is a Konami-published run-and-gun video game that feels a lot like Contra. Because it is. In fact, the game is not so secretly the 13th installment in the Contra franchise. Game producer Kenji Yamamoto told Silicon Era in 2010, "The game is really inspired by Contra Hardcore, and it seems to be a direct prequel, as one of the playable protagonists of Hardcore Uprising, a soldier named Bahamut, later becomes the big bad guy Colonel Bahamut in Contra Hardcore." Bomberman and Lode Runner. Although you wouldn't know it from any of their recent installments, Lode Runner and Bomberman actually stem from the same universe. In fact, Lode Runner is Bomberman. The proof comes from the ending of the original version of Bomberman on the Nintendo Famicom, which shows the robotic Bomberman escaping from bondage and becoming human. But not just any human, he becomes the Lode Runner himself. Therefore, the original Bomberman is technically the prequel to the original Lode Runner, which itself features a whole slew of Bomberman sprites. Since then, the two series have gone their separate ways, but they'll forever be linked by a long-forgotten metamorphosis. Thanks for watching! Click the SVG icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.